Hey, it's Matt Brown here, and we are working through more of Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. This is 33 in this one. So another song that uses kind of a cool Billy Corgan sort of open tuning in this one. So this one's in the key of G, concert pitch of G flat though, but I'm going to call everything out as though we're in the key of G. And what he's doing is, it's kind of a Soundgarden-ish thing to do. I'm sure they got it from somewhere else. But anyway, you're tuning your G string, or sorry, your fifth string, which is usually an A, down to an open G. And then we're tuning all of the other strings down a half step. So what this is giving you is kind of like an open G6 tuning. And an interesting thing is that you're not ever using the sixth string in the song, so you know you're getting those open strings there. Okay, so the intro part essentially is just played with some moving notes on the fourth string, while notes on your fifth string, third string, and second string remain open. So I'll play that for you. So what he's doing is he's taking the Love Can't Last Forever kind of melody that becomes a prominent thing later in the song, and he's playing it on the fourth string. So I'm just going to go through this measure by measure here and break this down. So what we're doing first measure is this. So just using the fifth and fourth frets of our fourth string that we're going between here, and I'm just using my middle and first fingers for this first measure. So slowly. And this song is felt in 2, so make sure you're giving it that kind of a feel. Now I'm going to connect the first 2 measures slowly. So the second measure we're going to go, so going 5, 7, 7 on the fourth string, and the open strings are staying consistent throughout this. And so this is going to take a lot of practice to get your pinky arched enough so that it's not muting your third string. And then we're doing back to 5, and then 4 with 2 quick strums. So again, these 2 measures. Alright, the third measure is the same as the first. I'll play the last 2 measures of this figure together though, so you can see how it goes. So we're going in the fourth measure here, the 5, 7, 7 thing remains the same, and then you're sliding up to 9, 7, and then doing the fast open string strums. So I'll do this whole first 4 measures slowly. Alright, so when I'm sliding up to the 7th and 9th frets, I'm doing that with the first and third fingers. Otherwise, you have to slide your pinky finger up, which is going to be a little bit less accurate, and you might mute out some of the strings. Also, that's the fingering I use will minimize the string squeaks on your fourth string, which becomes a pretty big deal with this song. Okay, so there's a piano part in the background that's playing this, like keyboard, whatever. It sounds like there might be an acoustic guitar doubling it too. Anyway, what you're doing is playing out of your G major scale on your first string. The first little bit, 3, 2, 3, 5, 3, 2. And just like the guitar riff I just showed you, the second time around we're going to play the tail end different. So that's going up to 5, 7, 5 at the end there. At the end of the lesson, I'm going to go back and show you how to do the weird stuff that's played with the phase shifter, and it sounds like he's doing it with the slide, so I'll go back and hit the electric guitar parts at the end. Alright, so let's move on and talk about what happens when you start singing. So here's the verse part. It starts with a similar figure to the intro. There's the chord progression for that. We're starting off with a very similar idea to the intro. The difference is instead of doing the the da 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 thing at the end, we're just going to do a pull off from the 4th fret to the open string while strumming the chord. So that basically comes in place of. Alright, then what we're going to do is a C add 9 chord. So in this tuning, that's a 5th string root, 5, 5, open, 3, open. And then we're going to play that to, let's see, the next chord is it's an inverted A7 sus4 chord. And the D is played in the bass there. You could also call this as kind of an ambiguous chord, like, you know, like some sort of D suspended chord, whatever. Anyway, it's played, it's a 4th string root, open, open, 3, open. So I'm just playing this with one finger then. So this is going to repeat for a while. Over and over. Okay, and here the piano and acoustic guitar just doing this. Okay, so we're going to have a verse and then kind of like a double verse, and at the end of the second type verse, we're going to have just like a long held out sustain chord until we go back into the next verse. So we get this. You know, essentially. And then you're back into the next verse. Okay, so let's check out some of the next parts that are coming up, like the pre-chorus and chorus. So what we're doing here, we're now playing out of a C kind of chord shape, so going to the 4 chord of the key, and then we're doing a similar melody on the 4th string though. So this chord here that we're starting out of might sound very familiar to Tonight Tonight. It's the same chord. So we have a 5th string root. This is C major 7 without the 3rd, so 5, 5, open, open. And so we're going, changing the 4th string note down to the 4th fret note to give you a sharp 11, coming back up to the major 7, and then we're going to add the 6th of the chord to this by stretching the pinky over. So your middle finger staying anchoring while the 3rd, 1st, and pinky fingers are kind of toggling around to different notes on the 4th string. So here it is slowly. And then pulling off that chord on the last beat, and then we'll do a similar thing on the next beat. So that's the same riff as the verse, so we're playing the same thing with the open 5th string now as the pedal. Then we're gonna do our C type deal again. Then we're going to take this shape up, this 2-finger type deal. So we're going to play 7, 7, open, open on your inner 4th strings. So this will give you like a D, 6, 9 sus sound. And then we're going to slide that back to the 5th fret. So these two measures will sound like. Alright, so I'm going to do the whole pre-chorus slowly now. Alright, I'm going to call the next part the chorus, and it's actually the same as the verse riff. It's this is the part where he's singing, "You can make it last forever, you." So the is what gets played over the chorus. At the end of the chorus, though, where he's singing the "For a moment I lose myself, wrapped up in my pleasures of the world," that part, what he does there is he hangs out on the C add 9 for a little bit. Well, I'll just play it for you. And then you're back to the verse. So these chords here, the C add 9, the same one we had before. This one here, this is, I'm gonna call, it's like that's your A sus chord that we had before, but now we're adding a low bass note to it. So it's the same chord from the verse, just with a different bass note. So we have 5th string root, 2, open, open, 3, open. So these two measures again at tempo. And slowly. And into another verse. Okay, so pretty much all of that we're gonna have a verse and like the pre-chorus part. And the pre-chorus part, though, the second time is a little bit different. So let's check out the full pre-chorus the second time around. Basically, you're tagging the end of the riff, and instead of just doing that once, you're doing it, let's see, once, twice, 3 times, a total of 3 times instead. Alright, so then we're going to go back to another chorus, so this is our second chorus here. So let's check out what comes after the second chorus. So the second chorus, the riff is the same as the first chorus. The ending is different though. So what we get at the end is we're going to do the C add 9 to D sus thing, and then we're going to do it again, but we're going to put the low root note into the chord. So it sounds like this. And then we're back into the outro to the song is the same as the intro though. So that's going to happen a few times, and then we're going to end with a final G chord, and this G chord is played on your inner 4 strings, open, 5, open, open. The acoustic guitar and piano is doing the. Then what it does is it takes that melody up and it harmonizes it in thirds. So essentially, you know, take that melody up an octave, and then so you have to play it on the 2nd string and then harmonize it in thirds in G major on the 1st string. All right. So now I'm going to go back and grab my electric guitar and talk about some of the effects and some of the background stuff that's happening on the song. The background guitar parts, it sounds to me that he's playing this with a slide in with a phaser. There are definitely 2 guitar tracks, and the second guitar track may be played on guitar, or it might be a synthesizer doubling what the guitar is doing. Anyway, let's talk about what's going on with the main guitar. So, the phaser effect, you can hear it has like a wow, 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 wow kind of oscillating effect, almost like a wah. So what you want to do is set that oscillation to coincide with the 8th note. So maybe get a metronome going in. I would recommend putting it at like 128, the song's tempo for the quarter note, and make sure that your is lining up with the count of the song. So what he's doing then is this. So it's just playing 3 notes with the slide, a G major triad essentially. So you want to slide into each note from about roughly a half step below, so like you're going 11 to 12 there, 6 to 7 there, and 3 to 4 there. So sliding into each note of the triad from a half step below. And that's really it. The other, if you want to emulate the other guitar part, you might want to do something where you're like scooping the whammy bar down from the 12th fret note and then letting the whammy bar come back to slack, and it'll give you the same kind of sound. Or like I said, it might be a synthesizer, who knows. Anyway, I'm Matt Brown, and this has been 33. So if you'd like the tabs to this song, just let me know. And I've got, I believe, 17 more songs from this album coming. So stick around.